Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pro League here on Monday, live at the Next Gen Arena. We are about to jump into our second match of the night. It's going to be the Generic Green Wings versus KT Rolster.
Definitely the better match of the night, I have to say. We did have an ace match there, which, you know, a lot of people were thinking Gumio was going to take it, but it didn't happen. SKT took their 6th win. But look at a super negative record here for Generic Green Wings, 2-3 with -3 indicator.
Yeah,
their
and
weakest
all those
season.
guys looked really depressed and negative. I don't know. The energy on that team is not looking good, whereas KT looking fine and dandy, looking normal.
Rogue, the sexy boy, almost giving a smile there. Almost.
Gave him the awkward smirk. Zest even giving a bigger bow. I would think that Zest is older, but I'm not sure.
I think you're right.
Zest also having more results.
I think Zest is just like overall like really polite, friendly guy.
Oh, he's like one of the most stand-up guys we have in all of Starcraft 2 in Korea for sure.
Well, let's take a look at what we're going to see today. Look at these teams. Stats, TY. Super, yeah.
Still hasn't come out for KT.
Yeah, same as Life, hasn't come out as much and has not really been performing, but he's wearing his GSL pins today. KT coach, looking Super Saiyan as usual.
Yeah. Not sure what level that is or tier or whatever. I didn't watch Dragon Ball. I still have to. It'll happen eventually.
I saw a few episodes
for sure
when I was younger, but like I didn't have cable TV when it was popular in the States, so I just couldn't really actually watch a whole lot. So it's a bit unfortunate, but
yeah.
One of those things I heard they're like coming out with a new version that basically skips all the long, slow, boring parts, or maybe it's already out. I'm not sure, but like that's probably the one I'll watch.
Come out, but yeah, we should both watch that actually. But here's today's match: Generic Green Wings versus KT Rolster, Rogue versus Zest, Maru versus Flash, Kira versus Stats, and then Trap versus Life.
You know, curious we don't see TY in a lineup. To be totally frank with you guys, I would prefer to see TY to Life as the 4th player for KT Rolster. He's looking really good these days, but perhaps he wants to keep all strategies hidden for his round of 4 match coming up in Star League.
I think that's the main thing. We've heard time and again, players come out and, you know, we asked them in the interview, why didn't they come out in Pro League? They're like, well, I was just preparing for Star League. I think he just wants to focus for like the next couple of weeks on what he's going to do against a Star League opponent.
No, the matchup that we see between these two teams, if you look at the players' names and their histories over the past year and a half or so, it looks like an incredible lineup. But results-wise, for Pro League, this is like watching last year MVP versus IM or something. Yeah. You know, this is like 6th place versus 7th place.
It's just both these teams have definitely fallen a bit here in round number 4. And this matchup between these two teams is actually going to decide who has a chance to make it into playoffs.
Yep, loser is not making it. It's not going to happen. Whoever loses this match is not going to playoffs. Jin are making 2 playoff finals in a row and losing both of them. A pretty sad thing. This is exactly what we were just saying. It's the viewpoint.
We're on point today, Wolf. We know what to talk about.
I feel like this is much more important for Generic Green Wings because KT Rolster has more overall points, I believe, in the standings.
No, actually, Generic is ahead by 51 points.
Okay, what's the totals?
Over here. Yeah, 213 to 162 at the end of round 3.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. That's right, because KT actually didn't make those 2 finals that Generic did.
Generic making, I think, was it 2 or 3 finals?
At least 2. I know they made the last 2. I can't remember. The first finals, no, actually all 3, yeah.
Yeah, I think
first finals was versus SKT.
And they lost all 3. So, I mean, it's kind of a hard place to be for Jenner, but at the same time, because they keep making those finals, they do have a chance to still make it into the final playoffs. Yeah. Even if they don't do quite well here.
And KT Rolster, don't forget, are the defending champions of Pro League. They won last season.
Yeah. So for them to drop out would be a huge switcheroo from last year for sure. Other teams that are doing well, of course, SKT up at the top, 303 points. CJ Antis, 243. And let's get into our predictions for the first game. Only Daehyun going for Zest. I'm like,
well, this
should have voted for Zest.
This is the game. It says game 1 winner prediction on that in Korean. It should be the game 1. Let's just all talk about how smart Daehyun is. This is like the most predictions he's ever looked at this season, I swear, is today. It's just like more and more. Let's all just see if Daehyun's right. And it's like, well, actually, it turns out pretty much he always is.
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps on doing well, he might just get the highest percentage yet. But we'll have to wait and see where he does land at the end of it all. Here's Rogue, 16-6, 5-1 versus Protoss. He's very, very strong in Pro League. He always has been. And putting him out first is a great way to get some momentum going for your team.
And it's 5-1 versus Protoss. We see a lot of Protosses on this map as that Terran drop style that we saw Dream try today is really, really falling off. So it used to be Protosses were scared of Terrans on this map, but now it seems to be a lot of either a ZVP map or a PvP map on Vaani in Pro League. Zest is also 5-1 versus Zerg, so this matchup does line up really nicely for these two. And as you can see, 19-11, a ton of wins. It's towards the top. Not as good of a ratio as some of those SKT players, but still pretty good.
He's still played so many games for his team. Comes out a bunch in the ace matches. Lost a couple of them to Creator, but we don't like to mention that. Besides once a day. He's still tied up there with Hero at the most winning at 19 right now. So looking to get these wins. Being the most winning player gets you an award, and it's a big deal.
Yep. Zest, don't forget, is a GSL champion. Does have that under his belt. He's a Royal Roader. Rogue has no such championship experience. He's much better in these best of ones.
Yep. Let's see how this game number 1 is going to turn out here on Vaani Research Station between Rogue and Zest. Down here in the south in the green for the generic Greenwings, the Zerg player, it is Rogue.
And his opponent to the top in red is Zest. Two sexy boys here, if I had to say so.
Yeah, if Moonglade were here, he'd be going on and on about the chisel toss and how great he looks in that tight shirt. I'm sure he's doing that somewhere, wherever he is, talking to himself.
Talking to himself.
Because, you know, that's just what Moonglade does.
Yeah. All the time. So famous for that.
Of course. It's actually how he made his name, just talking to himself. Well, this is going to be an interesting one between these two. Both these guys kind of remind me of like a similar player in a way where, you know, they were strong, really, really strong at times, but sometimes they just show up and they really don't perform. I was actually showing you some of the results for Zest. He is actually 0-4 versus Protoss in ace matches. I mentioned before, two of those were versus Creator, but where are the other two? And why does he just not seem to win in PvP and ace matches?
Yeah, it's just strange. I would disagree to a certain extent. I mean, I see what you're mean. I mean, you're saying it reminds you of. You're not saying this if it's a truth. But for me, I always think of Zest as a much more consistent player who has tough times, whereas Rogue just really struggles in general. Overall, he has his good moments. I would say like Rogue has his best moments about as often as Zest has his down times. But overall, I would say that Zest is more consistent. Rogue is a scary Zerg, and he has been able to take out some really impressive wins. Oh, look at that.
Sexy boy. What is that thing on the left side? That doesn't look like a Zergling.
I don't know. I wish they showed it for
looks like an anteater.
Yeah,
but
maybe an infestor or something, or maybe it's supposed to be a swarm host because it does flying locusts. I really don't know. Maybe it was a locust that was flying.
Maybe.
I wish they showed it for more than like less than half a second, so I could have seen that.
Yeah, it's either like 2 minutes or 0.5 seconds. That's the way it goes over here at SPL2015. Zest is trying to find this hatchery, and he can't quite do that. Rogue put it in a very strange spot out there.
Rogue did something like this versus Classic. Now, Classic was having a lot of stresses in finding hatcheries because of what happened versus him and Hyun. And then in the final match, the last match of the final match, in Game 3.
Last big match.
The last big match. He hit the hatchery right in that spot. Now, if you look at the mini-map, you can see this little triangle of no vision at the bottom of Zest's base. That's where he hit the hatchery and actually ended up killing Classic. Oh, wait. I'm insanely surprised that Zest doesn't check that location because...
Yeah, he's going to now.
That would have been pretty rough. He does see this hatch now. He's not worried about it, but still surprised he doesn't scout the main base because That's a very scary place, and that cost Classic, the defending Star League champion, to be knocked out in the round of 16.
Yeah, pretty big defeat. Maybe Rogue off of the back of that will finally get somewhere decently far in these Star Leagues, in these individual leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Rogue is a bad player. It's just he's not champion level like Zest is. Zest is much more consistent overall in individual leagues.
I feel like the overall mental stamina and control definitely goes to Zest by far. But I would just say the randomness of when these guys tend to fall off for me is kind of similar.
Sure, no,
it's Zest is the huge favorite, and then he comes out and just drops the ball hugely, and I'm like, what?
Absolutely.
Was that Zest?
I absolutely see what you mean. Yeah, I do agree with that. It's they both definitely have some inconsistent moments, notable ones. We have a cannon here.
Mr. Drone is getting ahead of himself.
This is pretty rare to see a cannon, but he's rushing out his tech like this and getting a mothership core. Drone's going to go make a gold base, is he?
I think that was just a mistake with that one drone. He sent it all the way to the front, maybe a bad rally.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Maybe thought it was his Overlord path or something. Stargate coming out here. Probably going to see some Oracles.
Yeah, I mean, Oracle's generally a pretty strong build, a pretty standard build against Zerg. You can take your third base pretty easily with it. And in general, if the Zerg is going to put their hatchery in a weird spot, you can sometimes punish it. It does seem like Rogue is pretty prepared. He's already got a queen over there. He's going to have to scout that Stargate and put up some spores here eventually. He's actually got 2 queens over there. One of them is spreading creep.
Yeah, that's important. It gives you a lot of protection on your third against this type of harassment. You need that creep spread anyways against a Protoss player who's going to put on any sort of aggression. This Overlord looks like it might escape.
Oh, the micro. Not enough.
Down to 6 health there.
We are going to see the Oracle come out.
Kind of crazy the Overlord lives. Can actually heal up and come back for a scout later. Because this is an Oracle build. If we're Phoenixes, that'd be a different story. But I see this tight wall here. A very greedy expand from Zest with this Oracle. But I feel like since this is not scouted very quickly, if I'm not mistaken, he actually doesn't check it yet.
He
did see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
With that one link pretty early on, right when it got dropped. Rogue showing a nice, knowledge of the timings on this map as well.
Well, I feel like it's going to be tough for him to pressure it with Lings. A bigger roach counter is going to be required. He's actually pooling the Oracles and hiding them.
Yeah, I love when Protosses do this. And did he see it? I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he has no idea. He has not seen it. Is he going to drop some safety spores? It doesn't look like it, and there's 2 Oracles out here. You know what happens when this happens, man. The classic effect.
Okay, they're late. The scout is late. The Lings do see it, but
with
3
2
spores
Oracles,
are so late.
Yeah, with 2 Oracles against 1 Queen,
you
can wipe out a mineral line. It is out of control.
So I think the best thing to do in this case is just simply to ignore the Queen and just target drown drones individually because you can one-shot them. Let's see how many you get. 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's exactly what you do. If you can deny the scouting like this, I mean, already 11 drones go down, stopped mining at that main for a while, and he's got that third base pretty early on here as well.
Keep in mind, with the third base he's gone up, he's got a cannon there, he's got a wall. The Oracles can always fly back to deal with Lings. And he didn't make any Lings at all, really. I mean, besides the ones that he lost to pressure a little bit. He's got a ton of drones. It's not a terrible position for Rogue right now, especially because he can take a 4th base for free. But this is just an unnatural amount of damage.
Well, Oracle's hanging around now. They've built up some energy. And back at home, he's also getting a bunch of different techs here. Oracle's going to pop in. Nicely done targeting the weak one, but, even with just 1 Queen, it's going to be so hard to get damage, or to kill those Oracles, or at least push them back.
Now, what we've got for upgrades here is quite unique. We have a very fast +1/1 for Hydras. The 1/1 upgrades usually reserved for melee units. If you go for range upgrades, you usually don't get the armor. This means transitions to later on, sort of text. Oh my god, this control is amazing. Is easier, but it also means that your Hydras are a little bit beefier against Sentries and Stalkers. You can actually tank a little bit more damage as you attack. And he's getting Hydra speed, before the attack. He's got range already. I think this might gear up to be a big Hydra attack. with a few Lings, of course, and Roaches to support, but mostly Hydras.
And he's already starting that 2-2. I wonder if he's going to wait for that or just look to put on pressure first. Classic himself just going for the attack upgrade. Going to have that out before the 2-2 of Rogue finishes. And also it looks like transitioning to Storm pretty early on. Already getting that Templar Archives out here. Also going to put on a bit of Harass with this Warp Prism.
We're seeing a bit of shift back to Storm over Colossi for dealing with these Hydras, but I'm not so sure he's actually going to be ready in time. 10 more Hydras to join the 15 he already has. They're going to put him at 25 Hydras with +1/1 speed, and 2-2 in the middle of the fight will eventually finish. Of course, there's going to be a +2 for the Gateway units, but no Colossi, and Storm's just probably not going to be ready. He's going to have Storm and enough Templar with energy. Going to be a tough call. Ooh, +1 Hydra's going to get the Warp Prism? No.
But he is going to be totally ready for this. He scouted this very early on, and I don't think that Warp Prism should be able to get much damage as long as Rogue is able to catch it out here.
I'm almost surprised he's even continuing to try to use it. I guess it's keeping him occupied to get that Storm research out.
I think that's the main reason here. I mean, you can see Rogue at least bringing his entire army back and then eventually just keeping a bit of those units back here because the constant threat of having that Warp Prism is just so annoying for Rogue.
See Immortals being chrono boosted out as well. Charge. Storm's done.
Immortals are going to be interesting. There's not a single Roach in this composition. He does have a Roach Warren, but he hasn't made one yet.
Yeah, Immortals.
I mean, they're okay if you can get towards, you know, attacking the Hydras without being hit on by the Hydras. If there's not many links to tank as well.
Yeah, Immortals do a decent amount of damage just overall, even to light units, but their range is what the problem is, and Hydras just outrange them. So like you said, it's like a hard thing to do where you get the Immortals into a position where they can't be hit by the Hydras, but they can do their damage. These aren't Heart of the Swarm Immortals, which are, Legacy of the Void Immortals, which can even do decently against like Lings because they can tank so much. Storm is ready. He's got 4 Templar on the map. I think 2 Storms are ready at this moment in time. Nexus Cannon.
Just fake Overlord drop? It looks like it. There's a huge amount of Storms coming down, though, getting all of the Hydras, and they're all so low in the red.
Yeah, he faked an Overlord drop, but I mean, there's just still way too much Protoss here. The Hydra's going to try to target the Nexus. They're not going to get that either. A big blink to chase. Zealot harassment, meanwhile, over here getting damage done. Yeah. And look at the supply.
Zealot destruction, man. 19 probes go down. And goodbye mining at your natural. Does have a 4th, but Zest holds that off with flying colors here and incredible storms. And
with flying Warp Prisms.
Yeah. Rogue's going to be looking to try to defend this here. He's got a nice concave, but Zest still a very scary army.
You know, the creep spread is pretty incredible for Rogue, and that's part of what bought him enough time to get his few Roaches out. But now those Immortals actually get to really show their worth. He may have even been expecting the Roaches to be the defense after he defends. It's like he saw it one step ahead already. He even has these Immortals in this army. Infestation Pit finishes, but what's he going to be able to make out of it? He can't even deal with the Zealots in his main. If he does, then he's going to lose his 3rd base here. And this is just going to be too much. Even an Archon here at the front. Great force fields.
Catching out all those Hydras on the left side. The Zealots in the main now taking everything down, and it looks like Zest going to take game number 1 here.
GG.
GG.
Storm ignores upgrades. You got 2-2 Hydras trying to hit a lot even with a fake drop. It's just not going to matter if those Storms go down. The Templar were in perfect position. Even had a time warp on that army. And it looked easy.
That looks like a very desperate attack from Rogue. It kind of looked like what we saw at Agumio against Innovation, where he's just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't want it to go later. He's got Storm. I got to attack. And then he just runs his Hydras into Storm and essentially throws away half his army. That's not the Rogue I'm used to seeing here, Wolf.
Well, I mean, it's just mass Hydras, which are scouted and countered. You can't then just keep your Hydras at home and tack. That's too slow. That's not good. You kind of have to do something with them. You know, if he was going to drop, that would have been cool because maybe he could get in there, but that's also scouted. And he didn't have drop. I don't believe in that game. If he did, I missed it. It was a fake. And even with the fake and with the 2-2 upgrades, Storm's out in time. And if he has Colossi out in time, that's another good response. If he didn't have Vipers, it just looked like a bad idea overall.
I mean, it's in general, like the only big thing that happened early on in that game as well was the Oracle harass out of Zest, which